Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast, which is brought to you by Aura.com, personal identity protection for you and your family.
So coming up tomorrow, speaking of protection, tomorrow on the show, we're doing top reasons that people end up in the ER in the summertime. Kids are more likely to end up in the ER in the summer than anyone else, which is sad and all of that.
I guess that's between vacations and sport activity and all that.
We'll get to it tomorrow. So that's tomorrow on the show, but it reminded me of something I forgot to tell you about, Murphy. This moment I had with my cousin on my girls' trip right before we went in to see Alanis Morissette. So I rode with my cousin Candice there, and Crystal met us. Yeah. And we park, gonna have a long walk. It is still really hot out. This was a night show, but we got there early, so it was really hot. Sun was bright. I was putting my hat on, and she had just turned the car off, or she was about to turn the car off. And I said, I'm sorry, let me put another layer of sunscreen on. She goes, oh, don't you rush that. I was like, no, I'll be fast. She was like, don't you dare rush that. And she then told me a story that I knew, but I never knew it from her perspective. Okay, and I bring it up because, you have memories of your own life, but you don't know how other people saw those things happening.
If you had the same experience together, you mean? Is that what you mean?
Yes, with them. So you know the story about the time that I ended up, not in the emergency room, but a doctor's office when I was a kid because of a sunburn.
Yeah.
And I was with my cousins. We were little. We were
at the amusement park?
Water park.
Ah.
We had been dropped off at the water park.
Yeah.
And I am super fair complected, and they are not. I don't think they were dropped off with any sun protection, but I was. My mom sent me with sun protection, and this is not when you couldn't in that time you couldn't find it so easily. There wasn't a shelf
because there was more tanning oil than there was sunblock.
It was lotion and oil.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think there was the whole a shelf in the store at that time. This was the summer in the 80s. It was all tanning oil, and at the bottom there was one bottle of something called Sundown. I remember the bottle because I got sent with it everywhere. My mom was not. This was out of town. I was at their house with my aunt and uncle, and they, also a different time, they would drop us off at the water park and pick us up hours later. So we put our stuff in lockers. I can't remember. I was probably 10 years old. Can't remember if I put the Sundown on or not. But regardless, I did not know. See, the education wasn't there. I did not know to reapply.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost, that was when I almost died in the wave pool also. The lifeguard had to pull me out.
Oh, you were getting sucked away?
I was way too far in the deep end of the wave pool when it kicked on, and so they had to pull me out. And
these are good memories of summers with your cousins?
This is a horrible memory.
Sounds like it.
But at the end of that day, I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And then I went to the doctor's office the next day, and my mom and grandmother the third day came and got me, a week ahead of time for me to go home because I was just miserable. And the doctor had told my aunt, she had a reaction to the sun. She's very fair. She cannot be in the sun for long, certainly not without protection, blah, blah, blah. And I remember the pain of it, no big deal. But Candice, my cousin, told me in the car the other day on the way to go into Alanis Morissette, she said, no, take your time putting that on. She says, I don't ever want to see that again. She said, I remember seeing those blisters in your skin.
Oh,
and she said it was horrible. I'm not saying it wasn't horrible for you, but I will never forget the way that looked. And I didn't know she had that memory of it because she never talked to me about that. When I tell you it was a significant thing.
Yeah.
My mom was upset with there was no family problem because of it, but I know that my mom was very mad. I guess I probably as a kid thought she was mad at me, but I think she was upset with the adults who were supervising me at that time.
I don't know that there was not enough attention, sadly, at that time for someone who's fair-skinned, redhead, where you easily burned.
Yes.
Because, to me, that's what's crazy about it. As progressive as I thought the time was when we were growing up.
No.
We knew that we would get burned. My parents would put some sort of sunscreen on us. I don't know that the reapplying part was there, but I knew that we had to be careful. But we always knew that it was probably going to be a sunburn, and then it was going to be peeling, and then we were going to be,
You never had a blister? They're bad.
No, I never. But that's
bad.
because me, my brother, and my sister are olive skin. So the sun, if we stayed out long enough, which I guess is the whole reason they did tanning contests and stuff like that back then. I never did one of those, but I remember them. I mean, I was a kid, and there were all these bikinis, and everybody was golden brown, and that was like the goal.
Not necessarily just about the color.
That's Murphy's childhood memory there.
Right, exactly. I mean, I remember how good that coconut oil smelled.
Me too.
In
It
Hawaiian
did.
Tropic, things like that.
I love the way it smells.
And so
Yes.
it was like a thing. Your goal was to become golden brown during the summer, which is so bad.
And I
for
grew
your
up
skin.
in that, actually not liking my skin for that reason, not liking the color and the tone of my skin and thinking that I was awkward, the ugly duckling, all of that. And then there was insult to injury when Candice and Crystal were fine the next day, wanting to go to the amusement park the next day, and I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I was laying on the floor of and their mother, my Aunt Hoja, who's from Korea. She didn't know. She had never seen anything like this redheaded kid with this white skin. And she, bless her heart, she was such a love. She was so maternal. She was trying to make me feel better. I remember crying. It hurt really badly. And she was dabbing like Noxzema on me.
Oh.
It hurt a little more when
Yeah.
she did that. We just didn't know. They just didn't know. I was very, very loved. I'm not
of course
saying
not.
this to...
I think
There was no neglect going
It's a
on.
different time and place.
It was
It was the
ignorance.
1980s. It was,
Isn't that hard to
Right.
believe, though? Because it's like, I don't remember when sunscreen became a thing, but I do remember the
With
time
education.
when there was no sunscreen.
That's
Well-
why you can never stop learning. Science has to always continue because what we learn, we can apply to our lives. Thank goodness. I wear sunscreen every day. Not like when I'm at the beach or something, but I wear it every day.
I think it also takes a while for a message like that to take hold because, when the Surgeon General declared that smoking, was a cause of lung cancer and all those things in the mid-'60s, that had actually been known for 20 to 25 years before that. But even when that was proclaimed, smoking still continued at a pretty high rate all the way through the 80s and into the 90s before it started to decline. Maybe it was the same thing about sunscreen because I know that my grandmother and my grandfather, Heidi and Skipper, would go fishing a lot. And they absolutely wore sunscreen.
Oh.
Now, it was copper tone, and so it probably was like an SPF
5.
4. Something like that.
Yeah.
But they knew that they needed to put sun protection on because they were going out and they were going to fish all day long. So it was there, but there was something about the beach and the golden tan in magazines and
I
the
know.
golden tan on movies and all that, right?
I know. I grew up thinking I was wrong for not being able to partake in that.
That makes me feel so bad for you. The hurt part is what really, I hate the fact that you
I
actually
remember it
physically
hurt.
blistered.
I remember it hurt a lot. But after that, it was probably a good lesson for me because after that, when I would go play softball or if I was going to go to a camp where I spent a lot of time outside, I did put the sunscreen on. I was the only kid doing it. And I remember there were mean girls rolling their eyes at me. What
That's
is she
terrible.
doing? She's so stupid. But whatever. Mean girls be gone. I want to say this. I just thought it was so touching. And then to realize that memories that you have that you share with other people, they have a different view of it.
Yeah.
I never realized that she never said that to me, Candice. I never realized that she saw it in a different way or that she remembers seeing it. But I was so touched by her words sitting in her car about to get out to go to the concert. Oh, no, you take all the time you need for that. I don't ever want to see that again. I was just so touched. It's just a thought. And remember to wear your sunscreen. More than SPF 5, please.
Huh.
Okay, so it does seem like, let's get to Aura. It does seem like there is a new sort of, information leak every week. You hear about it from big companies. And do these companies
Lots of
have your
hacks.
information? That's why Aura is here to help.
Yeah, Aura is an all-in-one online safety solution. It can protect you. In fact, it can protect your entire family. And the Aura, it's amazing how many things Aura covers, too. I mean, from stuff like robocalls and telemarketers to identity theft and financial fraud and other online thefts. It's basically a one-stop shop to cover everything and protect you.
Yeah, and you could choose the different levels that would be a fit for your family. And because Aura.com is sponsoring this podcast for a limited time, you can get a 14-day trial. And a check of your data to see if any of your personal information has been leaked, online, and that's all for free when you visit aura.com/hack. So when you type aura.com, put the slash mark, type HACK, hack, and that'll give you access to the special offer. And you can see all the different, you can choose everything down to identity protection, for your children and fraud protection. It's so many different things that, Aura encompasses. It makes it a very unique service.
And they can even help you with the credit bureaus if you do have an issue.
Yeah. So check it out today. And because of the podcast sponsor special here, go to aura.com/hack and try it for free for 14 days.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.